Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Scott Rowan, and welcome to DIY the Best Life. This is a very special show. We have a live audience here as well in the studio. Yeah! It is full. There's 150 people here. So DIY the Best Life is the channel. Get a little better posture. It'd be like my Christmas sweater. The show, this is actually the first episode of the first show of the new channel. So the show is How to Do Your Thing, and the channel is DIY the Best Life. And the episode title is How to Start a Theater Company, which in the house we have Jenny Lavery. Yeah, did I say that right?
Yeah,
Lavery? I think we should have talked about that beforehand.
Yeah, we should have.
First time, this is episode 1. So still ironing out the kinks. I also forgot to tell Jenny that this was going to be on camera. So usually an important thing to tell someone who you're going to have on your show.
So no Christmas sweater for me.
Right, yeah, I didn't, and my wardrobe person walked out last minute, so due to budget cuts. So we
But there's this dog.
She did bring a dog. She carries, that's our dog. I'm sorry. I should have told you to bring your own dog, or the memo didn't go through. Anyway, back on track. So this is DIY the Best Life. Also just want to plug the Patreon page. It's freshly launched, fresh out of the bag. Is that an expression? Fresh out of the bag?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hashtag fresh out of the bag. And we've got, I think, 4 patrons so far, so go ahead and join with whatever you want, and be sure to like the Facebook page. And also, if you're watching this live right now, hit the share button, because that will exponentially get more views on this. Anyway, all right, so Jenny,
yes,
we're here to talk to you today in this wonderfully professional studio. So obviously, we introduced that you have a theater company, but tell me a little bit more about what that is.
So in 2011, I started Theater en Bloc, which is French for all together. And that was really about wanting to bring diverse artists together to make work, and making work that is relevant to the actual time, so that we can bring diverse audiences together to talk about what does it mean to be alive in the world today, and sort of hitting on the issues that we don't necessarily talk about in polite conversation, perhaps. And usually the work is socially and politically motivated, so that's kind of where...
It seems like, that's what one thing you mentioned when we first talked, was that there's a lot of political stuff that you guys talk about. Was that the original intention behind it, or is that just something that kind of it morphed into stuff that's kind of topical? And
Yeah, I have always sort of had that bent, that political bent. A professor of mine pointed that out to me at an earlier age, and it was one of those moments where he was like, I've noticed that everything you do has this political motivation to it. And so then I became a little bit more conscious about that, because I feel like there's so much stuff that we have to do in our culture. We are constantly running from thing to thing to thing. So why are we asking people to stop and to see art? And I think that, to me, art has to be relevant and has to say something about what people are going through or what people are thinking about and not able to talk about. And that I'm more interested in than The Music Man or Annie, which is fine, but that's not what excites me.
Or babies eating lemons.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, not quite art.
That kind of interests me to see their faces.
Or cats and cucumbers was the other one. What? You're cats and cucumbers. The cats are terrified of cucumbers.
They are?
Sometimes, yeah. It's they sneak up. I totally derailed an awesome point that she was making. What about lemons and babies? Anyway, but that, I guess to each their own with lemons and babies and cucumbers and such. With a lot of this is something I think isn't like obviously now with the current political, I guess zeitgeist or whatever you call it. Which I guess opinions and bias aside, are you working on anything that is topical with the new stuff that's going on with the election and the?
Yeah, so because I really want whatever Theater on Block does to be really relevant to the moment and to the time, it makes it hard to plan seasons way in advance. So that's been a challenge that we've had. But what I do is I typically I read a lot of plays, and a lot of new plays, and when I come across something that I like, it sort of goes into a repository. And then whenever we have space and a venue open, then I kind of look at what is happening either in Austin or in Texas or in the country, etc., and try to figure out what's going to be the most topical. And there's a lot right now.
A lot of fodder these days.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you? So what is the? I guess let's back up a little bit because you are you created and founded the Theater on Block.
Yes.
If I'm saying that with enough of a French accent. And then you're also your title is the producer.
Producing
artistic director. Mm-hmm. Cool. So you're kind of running the show, but also like guiding things artistically. So I guess what does that mean for you? Like, what is your day to day? Like, what's a lot of reading, a lot of acting. I don't know. What's your?
Yeah, the day to day is so different from day to day. I read a lot to understand what is going on just in the theater world, and then I also try to read a lot of scripts. A lot of scripts get sent to me, and again to sort of have that like backlog of things to pull from, but it's not terribly glamorous, my day-to-day. It's a lot of, like, scheduling meetings with people and trying to make community partnerships and...
Because you're also, like, a small business runner. Like,
Yeah. And we do have certain other... I'm very lucky to have certain other team members, but I also... The size of the company is small enough where I am a catch-all.
Right.
And so... Yes, scheduling auditions and reaching out to designers and interviewing them, and it's a lot of staffing. It's a lot of programming, reaching out to people for funding, grant writing, and that.
So your day to day is very different from day to day.
Yes.
Yeah,
terribly
cool.
different.
So that kind of brings me to the next point, or maybe it doesn't actually transition smoothly, but by saying that, it made it seem like it did. So the whole point of this show is to sort of talk about, if you have a passion and you want to live your life, or you have this idea of like, oh, what if I started a theater company, but I don't know how, or like, is it going to be too hard? Am I going to fail? All those kind of questions. So to back it up a little bit, what were you doing before you started, the theater company? And, have you always been an actress, and have you always wanted to start a company, and what sort of has been the life?
Well, I'm gonna back it up really far.
Okay, I'm ready.
So I started doing theater when I was 8, acting in shows, and I sort of, much to my parents' dismay, I fell in love with it, and they tried to bribe me to not do shows and to do something more productive. Yeah. But it just stuck with me. The theater is my church and sort of always has been. It's what I feel like connects me most to other people. And it's just that passion. So I went to theater school and then I worked in New York for quite some time. And it was at that time that I thought I wanted to start a theater company. But I thought that I wanted to start a children's theater company, just because I've always liked kids, and So then that led me to getting my master's in education because I was like, who's going to trust me with their children? Like,
I get that all the time, especially with the mustache. But,
and the Christmas sweater.
Yeah, and I wear this year round too. So it's, what's that? Oh, I thought, was that a laugh? I thought I heard that, babe. Sorry, anyway, maybe the mustache is, thanks. Great. So you always knew that like a theater company was on the horizon at some point. It's kind of a life goal of sorts.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I have a lot to say, and so yeah, just being in other people's shows and acting or directing for other people started to feel inauthentic because I did not necessarily want to direct Hello Dolly. And, like,
yeah, again.
But again, I would have to do that to make money. So then I was like, well, I have things that I want to say and ways that I hope that theaters run. And so I just wanted to enact that.
Great. So you took
the control.
Yeah, good. I love it. So then at what point, was there a moment for you or maybe a period of time where you transitioned from like, oh, that'd be a cool idea to like, no, let's look into this and let's see what it takes. Like, what is a theater company? How much money do you need to start something like this? How do you grow something like, at what point did it go from just like this dream to this is the next thing I'm going to do?
Yeah. I had always wanted to start a company, but then being in New York and then I was in Boston for grad school, the cost of starting a company and just the cost of living was prohibitive to that. So I moved to Austin. When I moved to Austin, that possibility sort of crept up again of, oh, this could be a climate where I can financially do it and time-wise I can do it. And then I met one in particular like-minded person, and we actually founded the company together. He's no longer with the company, but and then we just started seeking other people that were like-minded in terms of the mission of the company and what we think theater can do for people. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so then it was just a moment of where we felt like we had the right play and we were starting to amass the right people, and we were just ballsy and took the jump. We didn't necessarily have the finances to do it.
So what was the jump for you?
Putting on that first show.
The very first show.
Yeah. And at that point, I didn't know anything about producing and made so many bad decisions. Yeah. And just just learning things on my own, marketing calendars and editorial calendar and all of that stuff. I was like, what? You have to actually put this thing out there. Like people won't just come.
Right.
So there was a huge, outside of the artistic part of it, the business side of it was a huge learning curve initially. But it was that first show that we felt like artistically it was the right time, it was that right place, it was the right people that we could reach and start a conversation with.
And how long ago was that?
2011.
Got it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
So how many shows per year do you guys usually put on, or what's or does it vary? Do you have what's the schedule like?
It varies a little bit because we don't have a brick and mortar. We wanted to be an itinerant company that moved around so that we could pick shows that fit with the particular venue.
Cool. Yeah.
So we, what was your question? I was going to go off on my own thread, but then I was like, I should probably answer the question.
No, it was good. It was like, how often do you put, which is kind of a dumb question anyway, because between,
it's, technically to answer the question.
Thanks, Sharon.
3 to 4 shows a year, on average, but this is where I was going. Now, there was a method to that. So we will contract spaces for the specific shows. So we've been in anywhere from the Long Center to an abandoned warehouse to like any number of East Side venues. But the space in Austin, the crisis as it were, there's a lot of theater venues closing. And so that means that we have to book space really far in advance.
Oh, wow.
I'm booking, as of fall 2016, I'm booking things for fall of 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
It took me a second to do the
Yeah, I
math.
know,
was
right?
Like, that's 1 year.
Circle the calendar.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
So it's a little bit dependent on that.
And you're booking spaces without knowing what shows you're going to put in those spaces?
Which is the opposite of what I would like to do.
Yeah,
but
sure.
that's the nature of the beast right now.
Right. Like you can't put someone in the Clinton campaign headquarters anymore.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, that'll be there for a while. Oh, well, all right. I'm just saying, like, you know, the show's for everyone. But anyway, I'm already creating a theme to the show by wearing a sweater vest and a Christmas tree behind me. Anyway, I call it a holiday tree. Ignore the Star of Bethlehem on the top.
The red and green overtone.
Very religious household we live in. Anyway, so is this now like your primary gig, like, or do you have like another job that you're supplementing with, or like what's your?
I did another like 3 jobs.
Got it. Okay, cool. But this is like your primary. Like, if this could be it, this is like your thing.
Yeah, totally. And we're on the road to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just takes It's the arts in America. It just takes time to get the funding and up to where it's a livable
like
wage.
To pay a salary.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like if again, because I had such a learning curve, there's some years in there. We are 5 years old. But there are some years in there where we didn't produce quite as much, and we didn't know what we were doing exactly on the business side. So now that I feel like I know what we're doing and I know what it takes, now I feel like if I stick it even just a couple years more, it will be my full-time gig.
Yeah, cool.
Which is great.
That'd be like the best life, you could say?
Yes.
And you're like doing it yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, you see? You see, everyone?
Tying it in. I get it.
It's coming together. Support us on Patreon. Oh yeah, I guess if you're just tuned in now, this is another thing with live stuff as people come and go. But this is Jenny Lavery. She started a theater company, Theater en Bloc.
Yes. Not, as a lot of Texans will say, theater on the block. Which block?
Well,
Did you?
it's the French version. And then, and this is DIY Best Life, How to Do Your Thing. That's sure you're watching. Okay, you're caught up. Are there any questions from anybody watching? Have you noticed anything?
No, we could ask for some.
That's a great idea.
I have one.
Well, first, I want to open it up to, we got a few more minutes left. I want to open it up to everybody at home. If you have any questions, write it in the comments. Anything about starting a theater company. Before I'll let you kind of percolate on that for a second because I have one more question for you. So you guys at home, do that. Think of those questions. We'll get these in the audience. But first, you made the leap, or you're in this transition period of like, it wasn't a thing at one point to now it's on the way to becoming your only thing.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome, right?
Yeah,
so,
totally.
So like, what is after going through all the things you've been through and up to this point, what would be your advice to other people out there, either trying to start their own theater company or just like, man, I really want to become a skydiving instructor, but I've never been skydiving. I'm like, I guess you'd be literally taking the leap with that one.
Yeah, right.
That joke was not planned, though it was very good.
I was just thinking about that. It's right on the nose.
So I guess any advice for people who want to pursue something but aren't sure how to take the first step?
I think you just gotta take the first step, even if it's ill-advised and not researched and not anything. because that first failure, I mean, fail again, fail better is, somebody wise said that.
You did, just now.
I think it was Beckett. But I think you learn from that. You learn so much from just trying it and going, oh, right, these are the 30 things that I never even knew were a part of this venture.
Right. Like telling someone that you're going to be on camera for an episode of something.
Yeah, something
That
like
would be something that you should learn for round 2.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
got it. Excellent.
Shower before.
Is that your note to me? Shower before?
Wait, this is, you know.
Got it. Right. All right. My apologies for not showering. All right, questions from... Oh, really? Who hit us?
The lovely Lisa Frame.
Oh, Lisa Frame. Oh, what's up, Lisa?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, but I think the question is if you could give yourself advice, like I guess your younger self advice. Now that you've kind of been there, you have a successful thing going on, like what advice would you give yourself back in the day?
To take that first step faster and earlier. I feel like when I was younger in my early 20s, I thought that I needed to go and experience a wide variety of job situations and like places to live and just all of those things. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think I put that in front of myself to delay this big scary thing that I knew I wanted to do. And so I think if I could do that again, I would just jump in again and
figure it out.
Yeah, and figure it out earlier, and then understand what else I needed to learn along the way. Instead of, I mean, I delayed it for like 10 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wow. Cool. That hopefully that answered your question, Lisa. Anything else from?
Yes. Another fabulous Lisa Graham question. What's the scrappiest thing you've done to make sure you can pay employees or keep the lights on?
And actually,
Scrappiest thing?
I'll just cause I don't know if she can hear you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
I just thought of that. So the question was, what's the scrappiest thing you've done to like keep the lights on or like to make ends meet as far as either running the business or this? I'm extrapolating, I guess, the question, but
Scrappiest. I feel like I have to live up to that word.
yeah, like I killed a man once, but
I fought a man.
Yeah.
I pay other people and have like until very recently have not paid myself. So for the first several years particularly, I was footing the bill of the company from myself to make sure that I was paying everybody else and
funded by your other day jobs. Is that like?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I will still do that if for whatever, like, we have not been in this situation luckily, but our shows are, I should knock on wood, I will knock on wood, have always been in the black and done really well, but if for whatever reason that wasn't true, I would totally take it from my paycheck.
That's legit. That's I've definitely worked for people who don't do that.
Yeah.
Which is can be frustrating. So I appreciate that. I respect it. Anything else? Any other good?
One from the audience.
Oh, one from the live audience. What?
There's some more. Sorry to jump on it. You mentioned you have 3 side gigs too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so curious to know what those are and like how those work with, I guess, like your real hustle, like as far as schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
So the question was, if you couldn't hear that, what are your other 3 side gigs, and how do you balance that with your side hustle? Was that the question?
Yeah.
With your primary hustle, which
How do they work with your?
how do all of your gigs gear together?
in.
Yeah.
So I teach. I freelance teach now, and I teach acting and I teach directing and classes related to that. And so that's one. And so I freelance doing that, and I can create those, take classes on based on my schedule. I have, as of late, been building websites. So I'm not an expert at that, but I've been doing that. People have been paying me to do that.
That's like the modern waitressing, I feel, is like web development. Yeah. No offense, Jared.
I don't do it.
Okay, good.
And then the other thing that I do currently is I give tours of Austin.
Oh. Through a company, or just you find people on the street?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Through a company.
Legit, okay.
I have my chauffeur's license.
That's
I
cool.
drive a 14-passenger Mercedes.
Wow.
And
And
What's the company?
AO Tours Austin.
oh yeah, we took my parents on that.
Yeah.
I think we had a dude though.
Yeah.
I don't think it was
Probably. I'm the only girl.
you. Yeah.
'Cause
That was the giveaway. Well, it was dude, so it probably wasn't her.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
She's cool. And then that was right.
And so scheduling that is, but scheduling all of those things becomes tough.
Yeah.
To schedule 4 jobs
Yeah.
and make it all.
And then like episodes of a startup web
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
You squeeze in.
But there's this really cute
The dog made it worth it. This is like chilling.
who is also sleeping. and
Yeah.
This is so.
That interesting, huh?
I'm so riveting.
Was there another question?
Don't take it.
You had? Was there anything? I mean, don't feel pressured.
So, I think a big thing with a lot of people wondering about, say, pursuing their dreams or willing to take that next step into just making that leap. A lot of people just have that fear or over analysis because there's so many different things that you think can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of those things that went wrong for you, but you were able to push through after you made that ballsy decision to just go for what you wanted?
Yeah. Well, before I directly answer that, I will say that, like, having the understanding, and it's taken me a long time to have this understanding, that probably lots of things are going to go wrong. They just are. And so just asking yourself, what is the worst that can happen? So it doesn't take off. All right, great. Close that DBA and that
Yeah.
incorporation with the state, and then move on to your next venture and take what, nobody's gonna die. Nobody's, well, I hope.
Well, knock on wood for that one. Except for that guy you killed when you were being scrappy.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so having that understanding of usually it's not life or death when you're starting something, and if it fails, it's whatever, moving forward. One of the things that I totally failed at that on our first show was, again, getting an audience to the show. And I was like, wait, I thought that the people just come, right? Kevin Costner said that if you build it, they will come. He's a liar.
Well, he meant ghosts. Ghost baseball players. We had an audience full of ghost baseball players. But it was...
Yeah, so luckily it was our first show was a 3-person show, so we never outnumbered the audience, which is good. That's an achievement. But there were some nights that we definitely had 10 or 15 people in the audience in a house that could have sat 75. So that was something that I would consider a failure, and something to learn from was the PR connections and the advertising that goes into running this thing like an actual business.
That seems like something you'd only really learn, or the best way to learn that is to have only 5 people show up. You're like, oh shit, this is harder. We need to put more effort in, and that's the best way to learn that is to have that actually happen.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of the arts, what do I want to say, training programs in the country focus so much on art and the craft and with the programming in terms of like that piece of art, I will say directly that I was a double major in directing and acting in a program that really stressed creating your own original work, but I never had a business class, ever. I never had a producing class, ever. And so, yeah, understanding that there's way more to the endeavor than just crafting a really great
Right.
moment for people to experience.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
it's not
you gotta pay the
enough.
bills. Right, yeah. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, so real quick, we're gonna wrap this out here in a second, but be sure to subscribe to the Patreon page because there's patron only content there, and we're gonna find out what Jenny's streaming right now, like what she's binge watching and what she recommends. So. But you're not going to see that right now. You're going to have to go to patreon.com/DIY the best life to find out what she is clearly a theatrical mind. She knows what's good content to consume. So join us there for that. But yeah, other than that, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Anything you want to tell everybody, like come check out our shows, subscribe, or follow?
Yeah, theateronblock.org is the website. You can sign up for the email list there, or follow us on Facebook. Coming up next, can I say what's coming up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is a play called Neva by Guillermo Calderon. It's very relevant to right now and to this country. It's asking the question in a time of social unrest, and in a really divisive country, why do you ask people to see theater? Or why do you ask people to see art? What's the point? Shouldn't everybody be protesting in the streets? So it's an awesome piece, and it's really funny and it's really relevant. And then also, I am developing a series of plays for babies.
What?
0 to 18 months. So there's going to be 12 installments every month. And it's called World of We.
Yay!
Meaning like we, but
Right.
also like we.
I like it.
You know.
Double entendre.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
French.
so French.
Yeah.
And it's specifically geared towards 0 to 18 months and the development of the brain in a unique way.
Cool.
So we're partnering with hospitals and with the certain children's museums and that to do that.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy for babies because they'll laugh at anything, and it would be so much easier.
Do it.
I should. I don't think they'd like my hemorrhoid jokes.
Yeah, probably not.
They wouldn't get it. I mean, they will eventually, but anyway. Cool. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah.
I guess we'll high five. We don't know how to end these things yet. Yeah, live audience. Thank you guys, and thank you guys for tuning in. Now I got to figure out how to stop the stream.
Bye, Garen and Lisa.
Bye, you guys.